Ladies and gentlemen, of course we have to start by appreciating God for opening our minds and making it possible for us to realize our currencies so that we can be able to mine them for the sake of our country. We also need to thank Global Platform, ActionAid, and Activista plus Azuri for this great opportunity for us to be here. But of course we must take a bow for ourselves. We brave the distances, the cold weather to be here, so that we can sharpen contradictions on the things we think are important for our country. As a person, I'm not here to talk to women, young women. I'm here to talk to leaders. Because for me, leadership is not about gender. Leadership is not about age. In my world, leadership is about the ideas that you have, the vision that you have, that when put into action can make this world a better place. It's about the ideologies that you have that are relevant to our struggles. It's about the volunteer spirit in you to serve. That's where we differentiate leadership from politics. Because politics, I'm a politician, and politics is about the mobilization of resources and the organization of the same resources to capture power. Politicians are just looking for power. Mtu asikudanganye. Leadership is about the mobilization, organization of resources for purposes of serving people. Now, I always tell people, and I was told, when I started, I thought I would be this ideologue who could not do some of these things you are laughing about. But then I was told, you must be a politician for you to win votes, and then become a leader when you assume office. The problem we have in our country is that we have people who, yes, it's allowed politic and get a seat, but then they forget that you're supposed to become a leader. Leaders are administrative. They are not about populism and these slogans. So what we lack is the ability of the so-called leaders to balance between the personal interests in their quest for power and public good. I didn't mention that I'm glad to be here. And when I saw the poster, I was wondering what I was going to say. But it feels good to be in an environment where men and women are coming together, not to define feminism in terms of gender, but to define feminism as a spirit. That is what it is to me. Feminism is a spirit that can exist in any human being. We talked about equity. Equity is about distributing resources on a priority basis. If one has 2 and requires 5, and one has 8 and they require 5, we do the equilibrium. That's where we do what we call the balancing act. So that, for me, is what feminism is about. It's about trying to ensure that we create a spirit in people that makes them understand that as a people, we are bound by our humanity. And by virtue of that, we are supposed to find a level playing ground. As a person, I believe nobody's born a beggar. Nobody's looking for opportunities, actually. As a person, I believe everyone is just looking for an environment where they can comfortably aspire and meet the infrastructure and the resources to enable them realize their dream in their own way. Serikali iweke sheria, ifanye iweke infrastructure. The young people especially just need the instruments to facilitate actualization of their dream, whether political or economic. As aspirants, let me come to the aspirants in the house. And I'm happy to see people stepping up. When you make that decision, that is your calling. As a person, I believe you don't serve God by just preaching. You serve God by becoming that person God intended of you. What God intended of me is not what you think. What God intended of me is my own business. So when I wake up and I feel like I need to actualize that dream, that's what God put in me, it's my business. That's why I always say, if you cannot support someone, let them do their thing. Mungu alipea, mimi kuna mtu ashainiambia, you're wasting time. You're wasting time. I asked that person, si kila mtu amepewa time yake hii dunia. Nishai kuja kukopa time yako kweli? You know, in nonsense, ya people thinking that your 9 must be their 9. At you see my number 6 must be your number 6 for me to be right. I must act the way you want for me to be mature. You see that kind of thinking? You must do this for you to fit into my eyes. That's why I was telling you. Mimi niko sawa. If you think I'm not okay, that is your problem. If you can't help someone, at least give them the peace to do what they want. You know, that's where, you see, like, they were talking about cyberbullying. People who bully you are people who have inferiority complex. People who have an intention to make you what they want, but because you are too strong to submit to their whims, that's why they bully you. That's why they beat you up. Because they do not have the capacity and ability to understand that we are different. And by that natural difference, everyone is at liberty to explore whatever options they believe are available to them. As an aspirant, I always tell young people, especially, you need to interrogate yourself before you go into leadership. Call yourself into a meeting before you become a leader. There is that what you want. So there are a few questions I always pose. As a leader, ask yourself, what do I want? Do you want to own a position, or do you want to own the decision? We have many young leaders, and they talk about young leaders today. Most of them own positions, but they don't own decisions. You need, as a leader, we were talking about power. In power, there are instruments that ensure that you are able to actualize a certain purpose for the greatness of the world. The second question you need to ask yourself is, how do I achieve that? Can I achieve that through the existing structures, or do I become the alternative structure? I'm a politician, so I'll use political examples. As a person, I don't have a problem. You can join UDA, you can join ODM, you can join whichever party that you believe will create a better platform for you to become that person. As a person, I'm independent, because so far there's nothing I can go sell to my mother in the village who cannot understand these slogans. There's nothing I can go tell her. It's about having a plan, and also having a plan on how to execute that plan. So before you join a party or whatever vehicle, it's good to ask yourself what your position is in that system. Are you someone who is just going to occupy a position in that system, or are you going to own a decision that you can use to execute that what you want? At that point, there is that liberty. But I also tell young people, I think there's a professional in PR, and she will tell you that huwa wanasema chema chajiuza, kibaya cha. Wacha mambo ya kuzunguka ati wewe unataka uonekane, fanya mambo yako, watakutafuta tu. I use myself as an example. Because, you know, one thing is that I talked about power in politics. When you come with new ideas, there's that threat that you present to the establishment. They start following. Me, there are people who've reached out when I never expected, but anyway, unasema tu na you choose your path. I always tell young people, build value in yourself. Create value in yourself. Once you build that value, you become a brand. Brands can never be ignored. And that's why huwa mna complain hapa, bundles za Safaricom ni expensive, na bado mko huko tu. Branding. Once you create a brand, even Baba will look for you. There was a young man in Matisi. Ndio unaambiwa, when a table cannot be created for you, create one. Jamaa alienda na microphone yake tu pale. Watu wanaongea, he captured the moment. Baba turned. I'm sure they looked for that guy. Politics, whatever you're doing. Because at the end of the day, there are only two categories of people. We have the best and we have the rest. Choose where you want to be. We talk about complaining, and I also say, I stopped complaining. I stopped blaming people. I blame myself for having taken too long to realize that I was part of the mistake. You get solutions the day you realize that you played a part in the wrongs. That's when you start retracing your tracks and identifying how to correct them. Another question you need to ask yourself as a leader, are you ready to pay the price? People pay the price. Raila Odinga has what he has. Wangari Maathai, they paid the price. Those people had an option of just relaxing, talking nicely to the establishment, and they will be billionaires, richer. Wangari Maathai would have died the way she did. She would have died a billionaire like many people who complied, but they believed in a cause, and they paid the price. You know, that's why I always use myself as an example, and I want to tell you my own story. Wengine watacheka, lakini ni shida yangu kweli. Me as a person, before I wanted to contest in 2013, but sikuwa na pesa. So nikasema wacha nitafute pesa kwanza. In 2017 I wanted to buy, but sikuwa na pesa. Wacha tu niendelee kutafuta pesa, lakini unakaa unajiuliza mbona hii pesa haitoshi? Unaenda job, unaacha hii haina pesa, unaenda kwa ingine. Life ni ile tu. Unajua mimi COVID ilinisaidia sana. So in 2020 I was working at the port. So nikasema hii pesa haitoshi, wacha niende mahali. Nilikuwa nimepata deal ya kwenda Seychelles. Ile nimepata nikijua ndafanya kazi 1 year nirudi na kama mitaka 15 ama 10. Siwezi kosa hapo, ni vuruge kabisa siasa. Then lockdown zikatokea. Ushaisikia unapigwa lockdown na uko mpaka na contract ya kazi. Umengoja tu kwenda kupanda ndege. Actually I quit my job at the port on 31st March. So kwenda home kumaliza on 20th nipande ndege. Ukafungwa. Wacha nilie. You know the way you are cursing yourself. Nikaona sasa nda complain mpaka lini. Labda Mungu tu amenipangia. So nikaanza tu kujipanga with what I had. So when I started this year, I didn't have money because last year, the last quarter of last year, I was strategizing and trying to put things in order zikaisha. So this year, because I was so focused on this thing, mpaka watu wanakuuliza, hey boss, what is your motivation? But I think for me, I was just tired because I've been an activist. For those who are old enough, labda mnajua, there was a lady called Miriam Kahiga. She was a country director for Amnesty International. I volunteered a lot for Amnesty too. But then I realized whatever I was doing on the street was not enough. I needed to go to that house where because the most important thing is the implementation. We have good ideas. All of you have ideas, but we need someone who can implement. That's why I decided wacha niende hapo. Hata kama nitatembea kwa mguu, nitatembea nifike hapo. So Januari nimekwama kabisa. Hata kuweka poster ya kwanza nilikuwa na pesa kweli? Hapana. Nikaenda nika-download picha ya high school. You know high school nisoma. It's the best school in Butula constituency. So nikaweka pale nimeamua. So my friends are like, hey boss, kwani unataka kuikuwa BOG chair? Niambia nataka. When I put up that first post, a friend of mine ako US, we were with him in campus. The last time we talked on Facebook was in 2014. 7 years down the line, aliniambia boss nitumie namba yako ya M-Pesa. That's what I always knew you were supposed to. Hiyo vitu ulikuwa unazunguka kwa bangi hiyo. Ni bure tu hiyo. Cause aliona nimejitokeza. Like it said, hakuna mtu atakota kuja kuokota chini ya meza tu kuwe kiongozi. Power is taken. Na kama mtu anaweza pata power bila wewe, mbona negotiate na wewe? If I can get power without you, why should I negotiate with you? That is what is happening at the national level. That's why unasikia kuna punda, kuna horses and all that stuff. Yes. That is the reality of politics. So anyone anaingia, it's a bare knuckle game. Mimi, I have paid my price. And that's why at the moment I cannot, I have my own terms. Even if I was to join a party, I have my own terms. As a person, you need to realize that politics, once you join politics, it will never be the same. Mimi maisha, I've had to reorganize my own self. Nilikuwa naishi kwa nyumba ya 2 bedroom Lower Kabeta, nalipa rent 30,000. Ikabidi nimetafuta bedsitter Roysambu nilipe 10,000. 20,000 nalipa designer wangu wa digital designer na huyo vijana wengine wako wa online na mtaani. I saved 20,000. Nilikuwa na gari nilikuwa naenda nayo home. Nikienda home na spend like 15,000 on fuel. Hiyo 15,000 inaweza fanya. Sindakuwa nimetoa kwa matanga kama 10 hivi hata saa zingine ama 5. Because that's the reality. So I've had to readjust my own life. So as a person, usiaingia siasa ukadhani ati ni starehe. Siasa hakuna starehe. Mimi venye nilianza kukampeni, kuna mtu ameweka poster, huyu jamaa alichukua loan mahali na akatumia mtu kama garanta, akahepa akaenda Uganda. Mimi wanaambia watu, one of the things yenye inafanya the young people wana fail out mostly is because Unajua, most people wanataka kuelect watu wana relationship, amekuwa. Hii mambo ya kukaa unakuja ati daka ya mwisho, to make matters worse hauna pesa. Mimi nasimama na vigogo, najua watakuja na pesa. By the time wanakuja, me have been doing it for a year. So I have connected with the people. Anza mapema. Unaona hizo manudes, wacha walete saa hii. Unajua uzuri ya matusi hairudi wangi. Matusi hairudi wangi. Unajua ndo wanasemanga, utaona kwa grupu kiweka kitu unaambiwa old post. So you the one who becomes embarrassed. So toka saa hii, wacha watoe. Unajua uzuri wakishatoa yote, wanatembeanga sasa uko freshi, hakuna mtu atairudia. Me, they have had stories, but at least zimeisha. So you meet with those people who are saying those things, they feel very embarrassed. That's the only way. Ukishaamua, you know, politics ni life, si kazi. And the shit will go through. As a person, as a young person, what differentiates you from the others? We talk about, you need to identify allies, the institutions that will support you. You need to be in the right corners. But you also, when you're joining some of these institutions and parties, it's good to accommodate without compromising, and concede without losing yourself. Don't be carried away. Kwa sababu, I'm telling you from experience. Mimi naona niko na vijana, I have a lot of friends. We meet some of them on TV. Unaona leo mtu anatusi Ruto, juu ako kwa Wetangula ama kwa wapi. Then sasa kesho unasikia Wetangula vingia kwa Ruto. Sasa ukienda, ni kama ile yenye Mandago alikuwa anasema, tulikuwa tunatusi baba. Sasa tukienda State House, tukiona baba tunajificha. Don't box yourself into that corner as a young person. As a young person, my advice would be, build yourself first. Ukiingie kwa chama, build yourself to a point where you don't get swallowed by the party. Once you build yourself, unajua ukienda bunge, it's even easier to advocate for things. Otherwise, kama ni chama imekupeleka bunge, utakuwa mnaitwa kwa mkutano, mnaambiwa leo ni hii ndio njia. Usipileta mchezo unapelekwa DCI. Unaona? Unatolewa kwa, you know, such things. And I always use an example of Ababu na Mwamba, brilliant guy. Kumbe zile kura zilikuwa za baba. So when he tried on his own, if he had taken some time to build himself, it really helps. So focus on your brand first. Don't rush into it's okay. People have different ways, but for you to create a lasting brand that can withstand the test of time and the challenges of politics, try and build a brand. But you also need to have a plan, and a legitimate plan on how to execute it. I always ask young people, yes, there are problems of the youth, but ukipewa 5 minutes na Uhuru, will you tell him how to solve them? Yes, you understand. Yes, venye wanasema tu, mnaambiwanga, na wale wanaambiwanga police, I know my rights. Ukiuliza which right? Can you quote it? Don't be a bandwagoner. Don't just follow the wind. Create your own path yenye people can associate with. I personally say, I don't need to win that seat to be a winner. Mimi nishashinda because it's already put me in places where I never expected to. I've built my own brand in my own way. And I'm not here because I called someone to be here. Unajua saa zingine, when you make an effort, be the first to appreciate yourself. Singoje kuambiwa asante. Na kuna wale wanakuambia asante kufurahisha juu wanajua utawapea kakitu. Hii dunia usipojibamba, usipojipigia asante wewe mwenyewe utateseka sana. So it's always good to know. Hivyo tu ndo jitambue tu. Siasa tu ni kujitambua. Ukishaamua umeingia, ingia. Me, I go to places where wanakataa wataki uongee, but we pia uko na vijana wako, unajua unajipanga pia, lazima pia uwe na maguu. But sasa ile ningependa, you know, there's a point nilikuwa nasema, and we have a movement, we are trying to organize young people. I don't have a problem you being in a party. I don't have a problem with a young man in ODM, a young woman in UDA, a young woman in ANC. What we are trying to do and what I'm championing for is, tukifika huko juu, our objective ikue moja. These guys will fight with you now, but wakiingia bunge objective yao inakuanga gani? Ushaiona wakikosana kwa kitu ya maslahi yao? Mbona sasa vijana, ukienda bunge unapata huyu kijana wa ODM anapigana, wakienda huko nje anapigana na wa UDA. Why are we embarrassing ourselves? You see, we know these things. We just need to organize ourselves better and get there. The most important thing is just to understand your currencies. As a person, that's why I say, people will tell you that, siasa, the biggest challenge ya vijana ni pesa. Mimi, my first challenge, the biggest challenge for young people si pesa, ni uoga. And there's no worse form of cowardice than the failure to believe in yourself. I always tell people, Mungu alikuzaa with a purpose. Na ile siku utagundua hii ndio kitu Mungu alikupangia. Your intention, unaweza kuwa unataka kufika kwa ile exit, kuna moto hapa. But the moment you believe you can get there, God will put, even if you don't get there, God will put you somewhere else where you'll be safe. But the decision has to come from you. Hakuna mtu atakuja kupange. Wewe usipeamua. When you put in a place by someone, you will always serve the interest of that person. You will never serve the greater good of the people. You have networks. Mimi ndawaibia tu siri zile vitu nafanya. Tusapotiane tu. You know, it's good to compete in our different fields. But let's develop a spirit here. All of us are winners when one of us wins. You can, it's okay, come vie against me in Butula. But we need to create an environment where you know and I know all of us we are championing for. If we are put together by ideas and the common cause, we will never be enemies. And that's where as young people tunafaa tujue when we go into leadership, what is our objective? Sometimes I envy women, by the way. Hiyo mambo ya agenda. Na mimi waambia vijana, by the I wish wangekuwa na hiyo. You see the way when Millie Odhiambo stands up to speak about gender. Unaweza dhani huyu hakuzaliwa na mwanaume. You know that you have a goal you want to achieve. We are not eliminating you, but we just want you to know that we are here for a purpose. And it's our time to take that what? You know, we've talked. Actually, hata saima limefika. We begged. Wakatupea kidogo kidogo. Tukajaribu kubagain. We don't have the numbers. Hatujitambui. Sahi tunachukua. We are not even bargaining. Ile mambo unaambiwa ati kuja ukae hapa nini. Now we are not. We are taking everything that we think we should. Bado, I wish mngeniambia niko na time kiasi gani.
1 minute, kid. 1 minute.
It's okay. Let me see if I've missed something. I was supposed to read this speech. No, basically what I'm trying to say is we live, okay, these are, we talk of patriarchy and gender issues, but we also have the same things. I don't know the name to give it in leadership, where ukiamka hivi unaambiwa, me I went to a meeting, niliuliza one of my competitors, a former head teacher wangu. So tulikutana pale. Mimi pia nikasimama tu, nikamuuliza, mimi nikitoka high school, several years ago niambia ni kiongozi wa kesho. Sasa nikamuuliza mzae, hii kesho ni lini? Si basi tuweke kwa sheria tujue vijana, tusisumbuane na nyinyi, because mnaona tunawavuruga. He couldn't say anything. There's this, me, politics is a game of, she said something. Me, if you ask me a stupid question, why should I give you a reasonable answer? Ukiamua, when we choose to be a comedian towards me, I'll also be a comedian. Mtu anakuambia ati vijana wameharibu inji. Ati what are the young leaders doing? Ask that person. Wewe kama mzazi ukiwa na wasichana watoto 5. Mtoto wa kwanza unapeleka yeye shule anavuta bangi anakuwa mwenda wazimu. Mtoto wa pili, I'm sorry to say this, maybe it's a lady anapata ball. You know, sometimes we still live in a society where it's stigmatizing and all that stuff. How watoto wengine 3 utaacha kuwapeleka shule because the other ones went through that? Are you not supposed to raise them better, culture them into people that can make better decisions? You know, we live in a society where people have to find excuses of locking you out into positions and situations you're supposed to be in. So this time, mtu akikwambia vitu kama hiyo, wewe pia jibu tu. Kwa sababu mkituliza maswali zenye hazina miguu, hata sisi tunaleta zenye hazina mikono. There's something I don't want to miss out. Mngekuwa na slide board. There's something I want to read out. A dream is like a mango. I'm also an author. I'm writing a book. I'll come so that I support hata nyinyi nipate pesa ya campaign. It said that a dream is like a mango. Na wanasema embe likiiva lile usilieke mahali atilingoje litaoza. So as a person, whether you are aspiring into leadership, you are aspiring into entrepreneurship, whatever you are aspiring into, once you feel that in you, all opportunities are time bound. when you wake up and you realize you want to achieve this thing, do it at that time. Don't wait for external validation. The search for external validation is what has led to the issues of mental health, because people don't feel sufficient enough. People feel like they do not have the ability to achieve that what they are supposed to achieve. So believe in yourself, work towards becoming that what you are supposed to become. People who love you will support you into becoming who you are supposed to be. They will not try to force you to become what they want. Let it be known that politics is the food we eat, the water we drink, and the air we breathe. If we fix our politics as a country, it means we'll have laws and policies that are meant for the people. They will be implemented and they will be oversighted. So as a people, the last call I want to make is, tunataka vijana waingie kwa uongozi, but ask yourself, what are you doing? Kwa sababu kusupport mtu kwa siasa, si kupiga kura tu. We don't have resources, but we have the numbers. We need to organize those numbers. Do you ever take time to talk to your friend about that leader you are supporting, the youthful ones? For the young people, I just want us to unite and have that goal that we can achieve together. And finally, I want to say, we believe because we can. We can because we should. We should because we must. The time is now. The future, the last thing I want to tell you is, the future, the past you get is the future that you create. We are in this problem because the youth of kitambo walingoja leo ndio wafanye. Unfortunately, time never waits for anyone. That past that we want, let's create it today, because today is the only day we are guaranteed.